All right, everybody, come on in. We want to give everybody a few seconds just to rock out and come in with us. Welcome to our live broadcast tonight, where we will be discussing the real estate market in light of COVID-19, specifically in the Joliet, Will County area. So come on in, let us know that you are here. We'll start the discussion in just a moment. Give everybody a second to log in. Thank you, Dennis Bill, Marjorie Bill. Thank you all for logging in and being with us tonight. Again, if you're logging in and you want to shout us out, let us know that you are in the room tonight. I got Mrs. Carmen Carter is on the hotline with us,
Hello.
are ready to rock and roll to answer your real estate questions tonight. So come on in, let us know you're here. Hey, good evening, Sharon Foster. Thank you so much for logging in. Again, y'all come on in the room. Let us know that you're here. I'm going to tidy up a few things to make sure that the live stream is producing well. And we will dive into tonight's discussion. And we're going to be answering some questions as you all have them, as well as 603. We'll give you a hot second to come on in the room. Hey, Linda Jackson, thank you so much for logging on. Linda says, hey, Carmen. Carmen,
Hi, Linda.
put this on your page as well. Tyran
Okay,
Pruitt.
I'm trying. I'm trying to find it. Because I'm
If you go
super.
to Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church and share it, and then I'll also log in and share it, and I'll tag you in it. Jessica Braggs is
Okay,
on.
I see it.
Realty Group. And let's see who else is on. Rhonda Wells. Lairway is in the house. So Carmen, make sure you mute your phone because we don't
Okay.
have audio coming in because it'll be
Oh wait a minute.
echoing in just a second. And I'll make sure I share it as well. So y'all come on in. Tyran, Rhonda Wells, thank you for logging in. We appreciate you all. Yeah, come on in the room. We'll get started in just a second. Send us a message. Let me see if anybody's on YouTube who's talking to us. All right, I don't see anybody making comments on YouTube. Oh, there we go. Good evening, Donna Curry on YouTube. Thank you for watching with us this evening. Let us know you are here. We are going to get ready to have some great discussion tonight, and letting you all know. And prayerfully, for those of you all who are in the market for real estate, you'll go ahead and holler at Carmen Carter after we're all said and done. But more than anything, we want to do this to help folks in our community. Tim McNeely, thank you for logging on as well. We are going to go ahead and get started since it's 5 after. Again, I'm Wendell Martin, pastor of Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church, where we love God, love people, try our very best to prove it. And we are here tonight. Again, this is a part of our initiative just to offer holistic ministry to individuals within our church and within our community. Last week, we got a chance to kick off these series of discussions with Demetrius and Carla Davis, where we talked about money matters, and we talked about how to get your financial house in order. We gave you a little bit to help you out there, what to do with these stimulus checks. So if you didn't get a chance to watch the Money Matters broadcast, tonight's broadcast and the Money Matters broadcast actually go hand in hand, as Demetrius and Carla Davis are also real estate investors. So again, offer some great information. If you didn't get a chance to watch the Money Matters broadcast, it aired on Tuesday of last week. It's still on our Facebook page. None of our videos ever get taken down. Go back and watch the broadcast from Tuesday. And then Thursday night, we did a broadcast with Dr. Fallon Kimball and Pastor Darius Curtis entitled Emotional and Mental Health During COVID-19, where we wanted to make sure that people are emotionally healthy, mentally healthy. As you all have heard me say a million times, everything is not going to get worked out on the altar. And there are certain things you can put oil on, you can pray about, you can roll on the floor, but some things God uses health professionals to bring healing. So that was an incredible. We've gotten so much feedback from the Thursday night broadcast. Many of you have asked us to do it again. So definitely go back if you're trying to figure out how to cope with this COVID-19. Dr. Fallon Kimball gave us some great resources on Thursday of last week, apps you can download for how to be mindful, engaging in meditation. There are also some Christian meditation apps that help you with your word, things of that sort. So we want to make sure that you are well holistically as a church, because your spiritual life doesn't just impact us. Everything about you impacts us as a church. So tonight, we want to talk about the real estate market in light of COVID-19, because a lot of people get a lot of misinformation with Google and YouTube and everything else. So I said, man, let's go ahead and make sure that the people have accurate information, specifically those who live in this Joliet, Will County area, so that you're not panicking. We got a lot of scam artists out there trying to get people out of their houses and everything else. So we want to make sure that you all get right information. And I am happy tonight to have Mrs. Carmen Bruton, Carmen Bruton Carter, who is with us tonight. Shows you how long I've known her, who is the owner of Carla Realty Group, one of the best real estate agents I know of, best real estate agencies. All of the agents are absolutely incredible. Carla Realty Group. I counted it this morning, I think I've done over 7 deals with Carla Realty Group, between listing homes that I had for rent, buying homes,
rehabs,
everything else. I think I've done over 7 deals with Carla Realty Group, and I have never, ever, 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 ever been disappointed with their service, with their expertise. So Carmen, welcome to
thank you.
Broadcast, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna get us a name for our broadcast and get something real swanky. So thank you for logging on. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get to our questions for the night.
Let me just close my window. Hold on, it's raining and it's un momento. It was fine until the wind started blowing. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You know,
as soon as the wind started blowing.
My grandmother used to say, when it's storm and the Lord is talking to you.
Hello, talk to me then, Lord, please.
So tell us about yourself, Carmen. How long you've been in real estate? How long you've owned Carter Realty Group? All that good stuff.
Okay, fantastic. I've been in real estate. This is going on 19 years.
Wow.
So I know, it's so trippy. So for 19 years, and I've owned the brokerage for 10. We have 17 agents that work with us. So that's pretty exciting. We were voted Business of the Year by ABBA last year. So that's pretty exciting for the company. That we had a good time doing that. I am a mother of 3 boys, 3 third graders. So I have so much fun. I'm a twin mom. Pastor's a twin dad. So we actually have quite a few friends with twins. It's kind of interesting.
Y'all started that trend out.
What'd you say?
Y'all started that trend.
We started the trend. Y'all followed along. That's weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, we been married for 13 years. It'll be 13 years. Right?
Get it right now. Come on.
Get it right. 12 years, 13 years. Hey, look, we've been together 13 in totality.
That's what matters.
So married a long time, just been having a pretty interesting time during the pandemic. Other than that, no, business actually is still very good.
Okay.
So I'm excited about that. But yeah, no, that's pretty much about me. I love helping the people. I love helping people. So that's super exciting for me. I love seeing that new home feeling. I love educating people. I love doing things like this. I really do believe that educating the consumer, the public, on accurate information is the best defense against anything.
Yeah.
Because once the consumer is aware, not just of what the process is, but how the process works, because sometimes we know what the end result is, but we don't know how you're supposed to get there. and then you have your mother, your uncle, and everybody telling you how it's supposed to go, and it just doesn't, in fact, go that smooth or that way, and everybody's circumstance is so different. So all the agents at the office, we all believe that education is key. So before we ever step foot out with anybody, we are usually giving a 45 to an hour consultation on what the process is before we do anything additional, because we know that it's just so important for education. It stops a lot of things in its tracks, hopefully.
And we'll get to some of those things in a hot second. So talk to us. What is the current state of the real estate market? And then, you gave us a general answer, but then speak specifically to the Joliet, Will County area. And the reason why I talk about that is because I realize this is the area that I know that we've been called to serve. So we want to, even though we may have people watching us from all over, we want to be specific. Even we can talk in general, but let's talk about the Joliet. What's the current state of the real estate market right now? How is it looking out there?
Actually, in our local market, and when I say local, I'm speaking of Joliet, Crest Hill, Plainfield, Lockport, Shorewood. That's to me is local to us. And actually right now it's a very stable market. So it's kind of going like this. I'm not seeing any dips. And we've been 41 days, 45 days, how many days we've been in? It is. I don't know what day. I don't even know what day it is or the date.
Yeah.
I don't know the day or the date.
Yeah.
So we've had a full month at least to see the impact, or to kind of get an idea of where it's going to go. Interestingly enough, that there only has been 2 times in the past. Oh my goodness, it's been a while. I'll get the exact stats for you, but there's only been just two times the market has dipped. So all because there's a recession or a depression doesn't mean that there's going to be a housing crisis.
Got it.
So that's the thing that people that we need to understand. It doesn't always equate to a housing crisis. I think we're so used to that because people are used to 2000 and right, 2000 after everything happened. People are so used to that era, but that's not always the case.
Got it. And I know we haven't seen the biggest of the impact as it relates to COVID-19 because
True.
Primarily most of the impact we've seen has been health. But just I think this will help people even prepare for what's to come. If the market does change, at least we can actually be prepared for it versus letting it take us off guard. So when you think about that, is there?
I want to
go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to kind of go back before you get to question number 2, just about the local market. I'm saying that it's stable. So when I say it's stable, when we talk about that in real estate, we talk about supply and we talk about demand. Okay. So that's basically how that works. We measure the supply versus the demand. And so when we take the measure the supply versus the demand, what that's called in real estate is called month supply of inventory. So we measure how many months will it take for all the homes on the market to be no more for sale. Every house on the market sells. So that's how we measure that month supply based on the demand of what's going on in the market. So a normal market, just a normal market. So remember earlier I said our market was stable, but I did not indicate whether it was a seller's market or a buyer's market.
Okay.
So people are, in the 2008 time, they were used to it being a buyer's market. Now, when we talk about a stable real estate, when we talk about a real estate market as far as being normal, not buyers or sellers, just a normal market, we're talking about 6 to 7 months of inventory on the market. 6 to 7 months. And 7 months is getting kind of high. You're teetering into a buyer's market at that point. So, of course, anything 5 months or less is going to be considered a seller's market. Meaning that, of course, obviously, the more supply we have on the market, that means the demand must be less, which is why now, of course, when you get into a market, when you have so much inventory, that's when it becomes a buyer's market. We're not there actually at all. we are actually in a very strong seller's market. A very strong seller's market. Actually, I think when I looked at it, we're looking at about only 3 months of supply
Okay.
on the market. So
So
remember, I said the normal market is about 6 to 7.
So in layman's terms, the houses that are out there, they're not lasting on the market that long.
Well, not necessarily. I'm not talking about market time specific. I'm talking about supply versus demand. So market time is a different thing. Because of COVID-19, we have seen an increase in the market time, but we have not seen a rise in people putting their houses on the market either.
Okay.
Right. So we still have a very limited amount of sellers available, which is making it a seller's market. So when you have seller's markets, even in our market current day today, I just looked at the numbers right before I talked to you, and we're at about 98% of lists. And what that means to us is that if a house is listed at $100,000, we're going to use just very basic math. If a house is listed at $100,000, the likelihood that it's going to sell at $98,000 is way more likely than it's going to sell at $50,000.
Got it. Okay.
Because that's just how, because remember, the supply is down, but you still have a hefty amount of buyers coming in. So if I have one house and 4 buyers, it's like eBay.
Yeah.
Right? I got one house, 4 buyers, and 4 people want this one house. That drives prices up, not down.
Got it.
And that's what causes this seller's market, because you have the lack of inventory. It's just like buying a Louis Vuitton, or, anytime you have something that's it's exclusivity, right? So buying a house, so it's not that many sellers out there right now. So, they can be pretty choosy too on what type of financing they even take, because guess what? They the ones holding the bag right now. The sellers are.
Got it.
Even though the market time is longer, and the market time is only longer because people are not as apt to go out immediately when they see a house is on the market. Everybody is a little scared. So I'm gonna say you could add easily some market time onto all of that and all the delays. So we're also seeing a lot of delays in closing as well, because everybody's working remotely. So because everybody's working remotely and we only have the opportunity to do these Zoom calls, of course, right? Then everybody's not in their place at where they're supposed to be. Things are not getting where they need to be. This division is closed. That division is closed. Oh, we cannot get the stamps to close the house because the county is closed. So that all adds into market time.
Got it. Makes sense.
So right now it's a seller's market, and it's a stable seller's market. It ain't no deep discounts going on. And I'm happy about that.
Okay. So if there's somebody that's entertaining the option of selling a home, this still is a good time to do that then?
It is.
Okay.
It absolutely is still a good time to do that. It absolutely, like I said, the market time is longer, and also too, it's some very big safety issues that obviously are people's concern. So of course, when I have people going to houses, my clients, they are wiping down stuff after people leave, because of course when you put your house on the market, people are coming through.
Got it.
And that's kind of how that works.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So I think we've answered that question about, is it a good time to sell? But the other question would be now for those individuals who may have started looking for a home and have pressed pause on that because of COVID-19, is it still a good time to buy a home?
Yeah, absolutely. Because interest rates are still at a historic low.
Okay.
They're still at a historic low. You still seeing interest rates at the 4% rate. So interest rates are still fantastic. So I would absolutely say it's still a good time to buy. People are still listing homes, and if you see that right home, go ahead and go for it. Now, of course, I don't know why they paused it. So that's all relative, right? You know what I'm saying? So it all really depends. Of course, if you paused it and because your job went on furlough, then that you should obviously keep it paused. But if you are working and your job is stable and you see increase in your hours and you don't feel any fear that there's going to be any layoff, or you get an opportunity to work from home and still getting paid, then certainly I would definitely say still keep your eye out there, because it's some still really good properties happening. And one of the big things I want to talk about with buying is sometimes people, well, not people, but a lot of times the public, the buyer public they want to see a sharp downturn in the market because they want to find this good deal. But the problem with that is we don't see the entire big picture. Okay. Because if we have a sharp downturn in the market, meaning that the market goes back to a buyer's market simply because the values of homes went down, that's very problematic because that means that people have lost their jobs. So, so it's such a domino effect. It's not just, oh man, now house is 50% off. Well, no, somebody had to live in that house. It ain't just the house is just 50% off. So now, you got people have lost jobs. So really, if that many people have lost jobs, because we're not seeing that type of turn right now going on, if that many people have lost jobs, the likelihood that you, the person that's looking, has lost your job, it's probably going to be geared more towards likely if now you see this huge shift in the economy of waiting to see. And another thing is that the normal buyer like me, right, is not going to benefit from that downturn as much as I would think. Because if there's a downturn sharply in the market and I'm not buying with cash money that I can withdraw out of my bank, have to go get a loan, that means that it could be harder to get a loan now. Okay. Because it's such a sharp downturn. So the bank is losing all this money on the opposite side on mortgages they already have. So now they're going to be tighter with their fund. We already seen it. It used to be 580. FHA, which is government financing, used to go down to 580. Right now they're at 620. So you're seeing a tightening up even already, and they're not even seeing a shift right now that they can point to in the real estate market. So overall, Archie.
So the FHA, they moved from financing people with a 580 credit score. Now they've increased it. You had to have a minimum 620 credit score, just even in the midst of COVID-19.
Correct. Yep. And that's why I'm saying I don't want to see the sharp downturn, because that means that a lot of different stuff is going to happen. It's just going to be more difficult to get financing. So the average everyday buyer like me and you, we usually don't benefit from that sharp downturn like that. Yeah. And I'm saying me and you, generically, right? We don't benefit from it unless we have the cash money in the bank to go scoop up some of those deals.
Got it.
Because what ends up happening in that marketplace is, yes, they on a discount, but you can't get the financing.
Right. So the ideal market for a downturn is for those real estate investors who have cash on hand, who can go in and buy up those heavily discounted houses because they have the cash to do so. But that doesn't work in favor for the buyer who actually has to get financing because the lending won't be as liberal.
Correct. Because if they see that downturn happen, that shift, the mortgage industry, you got to keep in mind, they're in the business of making money. So they have to, and I don't know if you even seen it, Chase is conservative anyway, but Chase even became more conservative. So what they said was, hey guys, we were already conservative, so now we're going to become even more conservative, and now we need a 700 credit score for you to come up in here and get a mortgage. So it just gets tighter and tighter. So we do not want to see that. We want to see sellers being able to sell, get their equity out because they built it. Because you got to remember too, with a sharp downturn like that, that means that people are losing their equity. Right. So it really is there. It really is not good. It seems good in theory because you think you're getting this discount, but really for the economy at large, it usually is not a good position to be in.
Got it. So all in all, as it relates to that, if you are an individual who was in the market to purchase a home and you know that your job is not in danger, your livelihood is not in danger, you don't foresee your income decreasing, and you're pretty stable. Like, there are certain jobs in certain industries that probably will not be affected by this economy. I was talking to somebody earlier. I mean, for the most part, like educators are not losing jobs per se because of COVID-19. So if you were in the market ready to purchase a home, it is still a good time to do that. But if you're going to go ahead and get pre-approved, get your financing lined up, if you are financing, now would be the time to go ahead and do that to make sure that's set and that's cool.
100%, absolutely. And remember, your pre-approval lasts for 90 days. But that means that your situation could not have changed in 90 days. But I've also seen through this COVID-19, it's not necessarily the buyer situation that shouldn't change under that financing 90-day provision. Sometimes the programs get snatched up from under us. So
Yeah.
I've had people that have literally been in contract and got a call and say, oh, the program that you were using, that's been discontinued.
Got it.
So now they're like, they can't buy. So it just, you see what I'm saying? So it's so fluid right now. So if you are entering the market, remember, real estate is already a difficult process to navigate and a very stressful process. The top 3 stressors, actually, they say top 3 stressors is getting married, having a baby, buying a house. Top 3 stresses you could ever endure.
Yeah.
So outside of that, the original normal stresses, now we have to consistently be talking to the lender to make sure, hey, we under contract. Just want to make sure that the loan program that I'm using is not going away.
Got it.
And I've had people that could not come up with money to, because some of those programs allow for down payment assistance. Well, those programs got pulled. So now people are reaching into their 401k or asking family members or flat out just canceling.
Got it. That makes sense.
I definitely would say it's still a good time to buy. I will also say too, I'm looking at my notes. If you are deciding that you do want to buy right now, like I said, you need to sit. It really is. I always say it's really the perfect trifecta. You need the credit, you need the money, you need a stable income. That's really the perfect trifecta, and that's really kind of how simple it can be. Of course, there's a few other things down, that I'm like, oh well, that won't work. But as long as you got the 620 credit score, you got some money saved up. I say about 4,500 is a good number.
Okay.
Right? And so what is that? I said 620, 4,500. Oh, and stable employment or stable income. Because some people, even if you're on permanent disability, I could use that as income.
Got it. Okay. All right. This is great information. So we've addressed the individuals who are sellers who may have been thinking about whether or not this is the time to sell their home. So we've already answered that question. Thank you all so much again for logging on. And then in about 5 minutes after we get through this next set of questions, if anybody watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, again, thank you, Veronica Hammond, for logging in. Shirley Taylor, thank you for logging in. Bercy McDowell, thank you for logging in as well. Let me see did anybody jump on YouTube. Thank you all so much for logging in. So if you have questions, we'll give you an opportunity to ask Carmen your questions tonight. Also, if you have any information, we'll make sure we give you the contact information for Carter Realty Group. I'll flash their website on the screen. That way you'll know how to get in touch with them if you have any questions. And again, there are not too many realtors who are going to come on Facebook and YouTube Live and give this information to individuals in our community. We got to make sure we look out for each other, that we are patronizing businesses that are from our community, that serve our community. So I'm grateful tonight that Carmen has agreed to address us. So I got a couple more questions. We talked about the sellers. We've talked about for those individuals who are considering buying or have been in the process of buying, still move forward with that. But what about the individual who hasn't even considered buying? Because a lot of people are oblivious for a number of reasons about what it takes to buy a house, what the necessary credit is, what the necessary money is. I think because the whole home buying process is such an overwhelming process, especially with us coming out of tax season, with many people coming out of their stimulus. And, it's like, unfortunately, in our community, when tax season comes around, that's when you start seeing all the temporary license plates. It's heartbreaking because, and we have to have this transparent conversation. And it breaks my heart. Like even at church and just in the community, you start seeing all of these cars rolling in, and people they're buying assets that do not appreciate. and they're in the hole. So a lot of people haven't even thought about, I mean, I know tons of people who easily get $5,000 back from income taxes and will take 3 of that and go put down on a car that as soon as they drive off the lot decreases 30% in value. So what would you say to those individuals who have just become accustomed to renting and haven't even wrapped their mind around buying a home?
Well, I share a little difference of opinion with what people should do or not do with their tax money. And I'm only saying that because I don't necessarily want, and this is almost, everybody's just not meant to be a homeowner. I mean, not everybody is just not for everyone, because it is so much that goes into it. I mean, seriously, being a homeowner, I know being a homeowner, it seems like it seems like there is always something to do inside your home, 100%. So I'm saying that because I guess I feel like I won't, if you feel like it could be for you, right? Because it is the building block of wealth. Purchasing real estate is the building block of wealth. Matter of fact, I challenge you to find outside of tech American millionaires that are not real estate holders. I challenge that. I challenge somebody to find it outside of tech. But at any rate, so I guess for me, I guess, Pastor, I would like to see, I love the education of purchasing, but I also like to see the education solely of getting your credit right. So if you want to do it, you can do it.
Absolutely.
Because that's what ends up happening. So I 100% agree with you in regards to doing something possibly different, but not necessarily not buying real. I'm not saying use that for a down payment. That's what you should be doing. Use that for, no. But I am saying that most times when people come sit in the office with me and I'm going over their information, their highest payment usually is a car. And it's usually it's not like it's I don't even know, give me a car. It's not like it's a Tesla. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the reason why they're paying a Tesla note is because of their credit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so I say to that, I agree with you. And that part, I think, makes me sad. And I think that's what makes you sad. That part makes me sad because it's like, man, I wish you would have taken some of that money and used it to repair your credit. And then, but I needed the money for a down payment for a car or a down payment. But what you don't know is the better the credit you had, you probably wouldn't have needed a down payment for your car.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you would have got those super duper low interest rates.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I definitely agree with you on that 100%. Because
And I think in terms of when I used to teach financial education with students at Job Corps, as we would prepare them for the workforce, again, within our community, specifically the African American community, for many individuals, like, we are not on a large scale taught about home ownership, again, being a building block to wealth. So in many cases, like, we think that home ownership, even though it is expensive, it is a huge responsibility, it is a huge undertaking. But when I compare the responsibility of being a homeowner versus the wealth that's built as a result of owning a home, the equity that you can have, and even just the opportunity for individuals, because our benchmark, and this was years ago when I used to teach financial literacy with our students, one of the federal government mandates was that we help students to at least obtain a job at that time making $12 an hour. And I would explain to students making $12 an hour at $40 hours a week a year, that's $24,960. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot of money, but then I would also take my students to a website like Zillow or Realtor.com, and I would type that information into the affordability calculator, where you can use these calculators, type in how much your income is, how much your expenses are, and then they will tell you basically around how much of a monthly payment you can afford based on your debt to income ratio. And then I would also show students like how much that affordability decreases with a $300 or a $400 car note, and really teaching people about debt to income ratio. So I think a lot of this is financial literacy. And the more we educate people financially, then mindsets start to change and say, okay, hey, well, I actually could afford a home. I could afford a mortgage payment if I wasn't paying $400 a month for, this car. So those are the types of things I'm thinking, like our folks specifically, we would have way more people even ready to purchase a home if they even knew that, hey, you can buy a home. Like a 620 credit score is not like astronomical. It's not
it's considered average on the low end.
Yeah, that's a C. If you're talking about A, B, C, D, a 620 is a C.
It's a C.
And so,
and we don't know that.
Yeah. So
we don't know that.
Is you can have an average credit score. You can have you don't have to break the bank with a down payment, but with an average credit score and a small down payment, especially with an FHA loan, with so much down payment assistance, like people can obtain them house if they understand what the financial responsibilities are. And then even like if people were to fall on hard times, like in this day and time, it's a lot easier to evict a tenant than it is to evict a homeowner. So
you are 100% correct. I do. Man, you said so much. I'm trying to figure out where I want to pop in there. Where I want to touch on, should have wrote it down. But I think I do believe that it is education, like you said, and knowing. But we got to talk about what the benefits are of home ownership, so people will understand why it may very well be important to be a homeowner. It's tax benefits that you receive as a homeowner, of course. So when you file your taxes every year, the interest that you pay on your mortgage, you actually get to write that off because that is deductible. So now you get to start doing some deductibles. What is it? A Schedule C, doing deductions to start taking some things off, and that way you can have a lesser tax amount, which obviously means either you get more money back or you pay less in taxes because you're doing all these deductions.
A lot of people don't understand that, because when you're used to taking the standard deduction, your tax liability is increased. When you have real estate taxes that are deductible, when you have interest on your mortgage, that's tax deductible. And in many cases, especially for business owners, if you have a side business, a side hustle, I mean, if you created an LLC and you use your home as a home office, you get a double deduction.
Hello, you can do it.
Understand that, like
deduct your phone bill, some of it, a portion of it, the portion of all the bills in the house you can deduct.
Yeah, so that's another benefit, because I know a lot of individuals who like have their own landscaping business, or who have their own graphic design business. And like if you have a graphic design business, of course you don't need an office to run a graphic design business. But now if you own your home becomes a tax write-off. The square footage of your office becomes a write-off. So there's so many benefits.
That room, and just by FYI, I just want to make sure you cannot have a bed in that room.
Exactly.
Because if you ever get audited.
Which is why you need a good accountant.
Yes.
So you're really your accountant. You need a.
I'm not their accountant. This is not tax advice, but you absolutely should not have a bed in that room.
You need a reputable accountant.
So, don't have a bed in that room. So those are some of the benefits. I think right. Don't go to jail. I think that we should absolutely talk about some of the benefits. So here's the thing about owning your own personal residence. It's not like a quick flip. So I always want to say that. So people say, I say, well, how long do you plan on staying in the property? I'm gonna be here about 3 years and then, move on. Well, remember we already said properties are selling at 98% of list. So you're not walking in with this overflowing amount of equity.
Got it.
So in 3 years, when you get ready to sell, you may break even.
Got it.
You did gain some benefits though, because you got those tax write-offs. But let's just say you keep the house 10 years. Well, over 10 years, the expectation is that you are going to see, because it's market. Anytime you're dealing with market, it's cyclical, right? So we don't know if it's going to be up or down. If I was if I could figure that out, I wouldn't be on here doing this. I'd be figure out the future. I'd be doing something totally different. But so we don't know. But our assumption is in a 10-year time span, you're going to build that equity. And therefore, when you sell it, so you sold it, you bought it for 100 and you sold it for 150. So that's a profit of 50,000. Now, of course, out of that 50,000, you have to pay fees, because you have to pay fees to sell your home. So, but once you take out those fees, you may clear 30,000, 35,000. It just all really kind of depends. Like I said, all on, it's so many differences going into that. So, but I would definitely, that's a benefit. So obviously now you are going into project number 2 or house number 2 with some money.
Yeah.
Right. Or let's just say in 10 years, you bought it at 100 and it's worth 150. And you say, you know what, I'm thinking, Carmen, I'm gonna call you up. Hey, Carmen, I'm thinking about some investment property. Oh, cool. Very good. Let's go ahead and let's take a look. Where are we gonna get the money from? Well, I remember the last time you told me my house was worth 150. Oh, let's see if we can get you a line of credit coming out of your house to go buy house number 2.
Got it.
Or now you have all this money built up in your 401k, because my assumption is usually when somebody is buying a house, unless they're downsizing because they're retired, it's usually upper mobility. It's very rare that I'm seeing 30-year-olds coming in and in 5 years or 10 years when they're ready to sell, we're not moving down. The trajectory is pretty much up, because this is that time period. 35, 38, that's when you start, stepping up to these next levels. So I'm seeing more upward movement. So that's another opportunity. So that is good for home ownership. And that's why I think that it would be, it is good. But like I said, you have to be ready for it, because there is no landlord to call.
Yeah.
And that's so important for people to understand. When you close on your house, you own it. Like, you alone own it. The end.
Got it.
And the mortgage paperwork that you signed at the closing states that not only are you going to live in the property if you're doing FHA, but you're also going to keep. You're not going to sell. You're never going to turn a property into a meth lab, because if you literally, that's like, you cannot turn it into a meth lab.
Please don't turn your property to a meth lab.
Don't turn to a meth lab. I mean, the documents state this on, the mortgage paper that you sign. It's stating that you're going to keep the property in decent condition. Because remember, the biggest person taking the risk is really the bank.
Got it.
Because they have the most liability to it. Remember, we putting down 4,500. They putting down a whole 150,000. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they're putting down the majority of the money. So that's why it's super important that those guys. That's why those guidelines are tight. They get tighter, because what they're thinking is, people are finicky. And so sometimes, and that's why a lot of times they moved away from those no money down programs, because what they understand is a lot of times if you're not putting down any money, you don't have any skin in the game.
Got it.
And if something happens,
yeah,
and they like, no, we need a little, and that's why they also raise the credit score limit, because they also feel like if you don't have the best of credit and something happens bad, a hardship, and I'm calling you as a mortgage company saying, hey, if you don't pay your next monthly payment, then I'm gonna report to your credit. And you know what I'm saying? And that's why it was so edible. But of course, if I had an 800 credit score, that would perk my ears up. because people usually, you work so hard to get your credit built up that you don't want anything to tarnish it, especially anything that you can control. Obviously, if you can control it, there's so much help for that, but that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day.
So we talked briefly about then for the person again who has not been entertaining the thought of buying a home, but they know their job is not in danger. More than likely, they can afford, a mortgage payment, things of that sort. We talked about those steps. So, like, what's step one? I'm a person. I'm currently renting. I had not even considered buying a home, but I have steady income. I don't see my job being affected by COVID-19. What's step one?
Okay, step one is get your credit report.
Yeah.
Get a copy of your credit report. At the end of this, I'll put a link in there. I'm not affiliated with the company at all, but it's a good company that I've seen. I'm not affiliated with the company at all, but it is a company.
Say it again for the
I
people.
am not affiliated with the company at all. But I found it to be a pretty good company. The people that I work with that do credit repair, they also use this company. It's called Privacy Guard. And this actually, you get all three of your reports because you need 3 reports. So when a lender is actually, when a lender pulls your credit, they actually pull the triune report, which is Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Mm-hmm. So they pull all 3. And they look for what we call the middle score. So it doesn't matter which bureau has the middle score. They're just looking for the middle number.
Got it.
Right? So sometimes when you look on freecreditreport.com or Credit Karma or something like that, you only get 1 score. That's why it's important. You need all 3 bureaus, and you need to look at all 3 of them to see which one, I don't care who it is, but which one is the middle number. That's what a lender is going to do. So that's the very first thing. I will say that I think you get the first 14 days free, and then it's just $1 you get the first 14 days for just $1, I think is what it said. And I think if you don't cancel, then it's $19.99 a month. I'm just suggesting if you are, unless you're really concerned about your credit or you've had the, identity theft or something like that, I just wanted you to get all 3 bureaus and all 3 scores. Now we have to remember it's not a lender score. So a lot of times lender scores can swing anywhere 15 to 20 points plus or minus. So when you see the score, even on Privacy Guard, be prepared that when you do call the lender, even though it says 660 is your middle score, they may see 640 middle score. And that's because the lender, the way their system works, they are harder and more conservative as to how they rate the points. So you're looking at a very generic system when you're looking at the Privacy Guard. Of course, lenders have to be a lot more stringent because they're actually loaning you something. Yeah. Privacy Guard is just giving you a very generic picture. But at least if you're at 660, a 15 to 20 point swing either way is not going to hurt you because remember you need a 620 credit score to buy right now. So that's the very first step.
Go ahead. Cool.
All right. Let's step 2. Let me look. Oh, we looking at the what do you ask me?
I think
the step. Those the process.
Question 4.
Okay, perfect. So that's what I would do first. Once you do that, let's just say you like, well, Carmen, I'm not a credit specialist. So I just know what I know because of experience, but I'm not, so I don't want anybody to start flooding my inbox about I'm not a credit specialist. I'm 100% not that, but I absolutely do know, I know enough to be dangerous. That's the problem. But what I will say is this, if your credit is not super, super duper terrible, if it's like 600 and it's not 620, I still want you to call me because that's enough, that's close enough where we could run a credit simulator is what my lender would do. And he would tell you the 1 or 2 things you need to tweak to get you to 620 by next month.
Got it.
Right. But if you had a 480, well, we need you to do a little bit more. We need you to come up,
That's a whole other conversation for
yeah. So, but we need to we need you to come up just a little bit more. But this is how that's going to happen. Number 1, first of all, I always tell people, people look at their credit report and, I ain't paying that. Well, was that your cell phone? Was that your bill? Well, yes, it was. I said, well, I think we should probably look at that.
You might want to pay that then.
Might want to look at that if
Please
that's
and
your
thank
bill. So I always say, go through your credit report line by line. Hey, make sure your address is accurate. That's important. Make sure your social obviously is accurate on each page. Make sure that your name is spelled correctly. Are you using a middle initial? All those things can be changed. You can go into each of the, so each bureau has their own website where you can go in and send documentation and information to update your credit report. So once you get it from Privacy Guard, then you can go in and say, okay, no, my name is spelled wrong here. You can do a name adjustment change. All those things matter. Now, of course, it's like, oh, so if my name is spelled wrong, that could adjust my point. Like 3 points, but what if you had set 617? Those 3 points,
It matters.
that matters.
Yeah.
That matters. Okay, so that's one thing you can do. So after you go down through the list, when you look at your, if you have a lot of things in collection, before you start going in and paying off this stuff in collection, stop right there. Because what people don't know is as soon as you go in and pay that collections from 1998 and you pay it in 2020 and you pay it, it actually reports all those late. So sometimes it actually decreases your score when you do that. That's why people say, well, why would I pay somebody to help me fix my credit? Because we don't know things like that. That's exactly why.
Yeah.
That's exactly why. And of course, YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be afraid to, like, we type in so much stuff in YouTube. Don't be afraid to type in things like that in YouTube to even get a small tutorial. So I also, after you do that, so don't necessarily do that right away. So my suggestion is, call the company to see if you can settle the debt. If you do decide to settle the debt, make sure that they're not reporting it as a settlement, because if you report it as a settlement, guess what? Brings your score down.
Got it.
Oh, I'm gonna close these credit cards. Oh, if you do that, guess what? Brings your score down. People say, you mean to tell me if I close my credit card, it's gonna bring my score down? Yes, it is. Because what it does is it sends waves through the financial community that you are not responsible enough to have a credit card with money on it and not spend it.
Got it.
They want to see people being responsible. So that's why I always tell people you need 3 lines of revolving credit in order to boost your score rapidly. 3 lines. People say, well, I got my car on there already. Okay, stop right there, because that's not revolving credit. That is installment credit. Anytime there's an end payment date, that is always installment debt. Installment debt brings your score down. So people say, oh, well, like people come on all the time. Well, I know my credit must be fine. I just got a car. I'd be like, oh, I wish you didn't get that. And you take it back.
You take the car. Are you within the 30-day window to take the car back?
Can you take the car back?
Yeah.
So you want to have 3 revolving. So I don't care if you get a Walmart. I don't care if you get, you're a pastor. I ain't gonna say what I was about to say. If you, whatever, you can do Walmart, Capital One. I don't care. Go online and try to apply for some. People say, oh my gosh, you're telling me to get credit. Yes. Because how would the lender ever know you're responsible to pay your bills on time?
It doesn't
your
mean
credit
you have to
score,
use it and not pay it off. It's just getting it. And if you use it, you're paying it off every month so you can establish a credit history to increase your credit score.
And Pastor, I 100% agree with you. If in fact that person were not purchasing a home, definitely pay it off. If you're buying a house, do not pay it off.
Got it.
And the reason for that is because it actually brings your scores down.
Wow.
It's so funny how that works, but we have to think about it. What a lender, and I don't care what type of lender it is, what they want to see is you can pay your bills on time. If you pay it off every month, that's like installment debt. That's why they don't even look at it as anything. They only look at it as installment for good when they only look at it when you're late. You see what I'm saying? But they want to see somebody, because remember, a mortgage is over 30 years. They want to see that somebody can actually make payments on something every month. Yeah. They want to see you making those payments. I don't care if it's $10 a month. People say, you mean to tell me if I get $100 credit card limit and keep bubble gum and some gas in it and just do that and just pay a little bit on it every month, my credit score going to increase? You're going to see it shoot up.
Right.
It's so interesting how that works. Now, because like I said, they want to see that you can pay. They want to, and I always say, for example, you have $1,000 credit limit on a card. You want to keep your balance at $300 or less at all times. Not paid off, just $300 or less at all times. So $1,000 limit, 30%, $300 or less at all times. So you want to make sure that you're showing them, I know how to pay. They say, well, what's the deal with the 30%? Because what they're saying is this: a lender for housing. They're saying, hey, you know what? They have some. They're responsible. They have self-control because you're not going to your max, and that's why anytime you creep over that 30%, you're gonna see your credit score dipping. Like, man, I can't believe my credit score going down. Look at your cards. Where you at with your cards? Are you over that 30%? Because what they're saying is, oh, this is getting scary. They getting out of control. I wonder what else is going on. Why are they, they usually at $300. Now they at $700. Maybe we should, cap them up, call them, see if everything's okay. A lot of times what people don't know, creditors across the, and I believe it has to, and I don't know this for sure, don't quote me on this, but it has to be in something that we sign that allows them to do a soft pull on your credit.
Yeah.
Because it has to be in there when we sign all those 15,000 pages, when we do a credit card, I guarantee it has to be, I'm gonna find it tonight. It's gotta be a section on there where they say they can soft pull it, because that's what they start doing. When they start seeing your limit, not your limit, but the limit is set, but they start seeing your purchases going up, they start doing soft pulls on you because they wanna know, are you doing this to everybody?
Got it.
Is there a bigger problem that we need to know about? And that's why mortgage lenders are so strict on that, because they're not lending you $1,000. They're lending you $200,000. They want to know for sure you can do it and you're responsible enough to do it. So getting that, going through your credit, and those are some tips right there. One more tip on the credit is, if you do decide to pay something off, and you want to make sure that they don't record it as a settlement, because that decreases your credit. You want to see if you could do what we call a pay for delete, meaning, hey, if in fact I pay this off, this collection I'm talking about, will you delete it off my credit entirely? They do have the ability. It's just a button to push.
Got it.
Now, a lot of times they say that they don't have the ability, they can't do it, that's not their policy. I just keep asking for somebody else. But that's why I always say hire somebody. Well, right now, if you at home and you got time to do it. But repairing credit, and anybody, if you on this live feed, I'm not looking at the feed, I'm on the Zoom feed, but anybody on this live feed, if you ever repaired your own credit, I tell people how difficult it is. It's not easy. That's why you got to pay for it, because it's not easy to do it.
Right. Right.
So after you do that, your first step, like you said, I've never been, I wasn't even thinking about it, but now I'm on here. I'm thinking about it. Get your credit report. Clean it up, get to the 620. Start saving money. If you have already started, you need about $4,500 to actually start the process. People say, oh man, $4,500. Somebody, why so much, why so little? It all really kind of depends on what price range that you're in.
Yeah.
But I always say $4,500 is a good start. For FHA financing, Pastor, you can actually get a gift from family.
Okay.
You can use your 401k.
Okay.
Use your IRA. So you can use those. So you can use grant funds if there's any available. There's not any at this present time that I'm aware of, because they pulled a lot of those bonds due to COVID-19. But soon, I'm sure that they're going to be back, because they're going to infuse the economy. I'm sure it's a part of the CARES Act. I haven't read through the whole thing, so I'm sure some money is getting infused somewhere through some villages and counties to increase that. Got it.
So my last question, things that we had come in was this. I don't want to keep everybody too long. We try to keep it at under an hour. So my last,
I'm sorry.
Simply, you're all good. This has been invaluable information. Yeah, if you have any questions, now is the time to submit it. Or if you want to inbox me the question, and then we'll get it to you later on. We'll answer. I know a lot of people don't want their business all out there, all willy-nilly out in these streets. But someone asked a question, what do I do, or how hard is it to sell a home that you are upside down on. So someone wants to know, like in this market, how difficult is it to sell a home where they owe more than what they believe the house is worth?
It's a small challenge to it. That's called a short sale. Short in dollars, long in time.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because what you're doing is you're asking the bank to settle your debt. But it takes them a long time to make the determination as to whether or not they're going to settle the debt.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a tricky process. If you believe that you're in short sale, that is, I would say suggest to call me. Yeah. Especially with the time. But just so you know, can you do it in this what climate that we're in right now? Yes. I got a few going on right now, but because of loss mitigation is all hung up right now with hopefully question number 5. I hope we get to it. Then we, that's why. But yes, you can do it. The answer is yes. It is not difficult. It's challenging, but it's not too hard. Not too hard for me.
So reach out to Carmen. Reach out to Carmen if you are one of those individuals. I know we have question 5. I got another quick question. I've been hearing a lot of trends going on where like new builders, a lot of people are looking at buying new homes. I know there's a lot of in the Joliet area, like just west of Route 59, between west of Route 59, north of Route 52, south of Caden Farm Road, like that whole section over there, a lot of home builders. And a lot of people are a lot of these builders are offering to purchase your existing home so they can get you in a new home. Like, is that sketchy? Like, what are your thoughts about that?
No, I don't think that that's sketchy at all. It really is going to depend on how much usually if they're doing that, they're coming in like an investor. So they're not going to give you that 98% that the market is yielding. They'll probably be in the 80s. So it really kind of depends. It all depends on what you want to do. Because if you're not using your house to build that type of equity up, and you like, okay, listen, I want to move to the next thing, then everybody's situation is different. So I always say you got to go with what works for you and your family. But to know, just so you know what's going on there, they're usually offering you not at market value. It's sometimes going to be more times than not a little bit less than market value.
Got it. So question 5, what should individuals who currently have a mortgage do? So a lot of people are panicking about what to do about their current mortgage. What should they be thinking about?
Pay it. If you have a mortgage right now and you can afford to pay it, pay it. Pay it, pay it, pay it. Pay it again. Pay. And here's why. And this is a whole. I wish we should have reversed the question. I should start off with that. The reason why is because if you cannot afford to pay it, then of course use the forbearance program. I'm not telling you not to do that. But if you are, I'm gonna even say like myself. If you are somebody like myself that you see a good deal going on, even though you don't need that good deal, you try to go for it. Don't you do that.
Like they telling me I ain't got to pay it because of COVID. That you calling in and telling us, y'all got help for COVID-19. No, goodwill, you ain't got corona.
You don't need you've been working overtime. This is the biggest money you done had in your life. Listen, don't take the bait. Look, I read a post the other day that says always cheese on the mousetrap. There's always cheese on the mousetrap.
Yeah.
So of course it looks good. Of course it does. But if you can pay it, pay it. And here's why. But if you cannot pay it, this is what you need to make sure of. You need to be very clear of what the forbearance plan is. When this last bailout came and they told the banks, hey, listen, I need y'all to suspend these mortgages for 3 months. Banks is like, oh, okay, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. If somebody call, of course they don't suspend it automatically. If you call, now the interesting part about it is mortgage payments is due on the 1st. Not late into the 16th in most cases. I believe the CARES Act or whatever it was called, the stimulus package at that point was passed after the 16th. About that, we talking about March. What we talking about, April?
So April would have been.
It was April. So it was due April 1st. The 16th, they was late. That act didn't come out. That stimulus package came out after that. The loss mitigations at banks were flooded with phone calls. You're like, wait a minute, y'all, what do you mean you can't pay? Y'all, we just passed it and y'all not even 30 days late yet.
Yeah.
You're not even late on the payment. So that's the people that's, I need that. They offer, I need to hold off on mine. But what they're not telling you is, is it a balloon payment at the back? So let's just say you say they agreed, because the questions is not too heavy. So you are at what is that? April, you missed. May, June. Your payment's due in July. But how many payments due in July? Count them up. April, May, June, July. When are they due? July.
July. All 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. So if your mortgage is $2,000 a month, 2, 4, 6, 8. Due.
You got to pay it
July.
off.
Due.
Yeah.
July. So you think you might be getting a good thing, but if you're not reading that documentation thoroughly, in July, you're going to have a very unpleasant surprise. And at that point, what's going to happen is, now who's holding all the cards? The bank. Because now you got to ask them for another forbearance, because they're not putting it to the back of the loan. You have to read those forbearance documents. They're not putting these 3 payments to the back. They're going to be expedited and due in July.
Yes. Yeah.
Guess what, too? Depending on how it's written, in July, if you can't pay, your credit very well may be affected. How is the forbearance written? Every bank is different. Every bank is writing the plan different. So you have to read your own personal forbearance plan. And what happens in the 3rd month when you can't pay? In July, when you can't pay, what's going to happen? They're going to say, well, we can do, guess what? They don't have to do it. Remember, the mandate was only for the 3 months.
Got it.
Guess how many months it takes to foreclose on a property? You need at least 3 missed payments to start that process.
Wow. That's good information.
If you don't need it, don't take it.
Got it.
Seriously, pay it.
Yeah. Just because they're giving away toilet paper don't mean you got to take it because it's free.
That's all I'm saying.
If you can afford to pay your mortgage, do not call the mortgage company and enter into forbearance just because they're offering it. Go ahead and pay it. Because
all day, every day.
Because a lot of people think in their mind, well, I'll just not pay it. I'll save this money up just in case an emergency happens. And if an emergency will happen, and you'll end up spending that money on something else, and you will.
I guarantee you, an emergency gonna happen. I guarantee you.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna
guarantee.
Happen. Pay the mortgage.
Pay your mortgage. You know, it's where you live. If you can afford, and again, I'm not talking to anybody that seriously needs the forbearance, because there's a lot of people that really do need it. But there's also a lot of people that don't, they like, well, they offer it, I might go ahead and take it. But yeah, if you don't need it, I would suggest that you just continue to pay, because remember, this is what's very interesting. What people don't know, there's loss mitigation is like, that's a thing. That's not new. That's been around since banking has been around. Loss mitigation. They're always loss mitigation, exactly what it is, right? So in July, so you're saying, well, Carmen, what if in July something happened and I could have been saving that, or now I really need it and now they don't offer it, or whatever the case is. They still have loss mitigation. Like, that's not, like, you still can call for a forbearance. You still can call for help, but it will be a different type of forbearance. Typical regular forbearances usually put it on the back. Like, if you call on a regular time, usually they'll put the forbearance on the back.
Got it. All right, good deal. Somebody asked a question, does your age affect your ability to be a first-time home buyer?
No. Oh, my oldest client was like 85.
Wow. That's good stuff.
Yes, she bought a house. She was so cute.
Good deal. So age does not affect your ability to become a home buyer. Let me make sure you don't have any other questions. Well, Carmen,
and furthermore, as you look at the question, let me just say this. Not only does it not affect you, buy what you want. You got 30 years, you're not going to pay it off. Look, it's 30, get what you want. People get really concerned about it. Like, oh, I don't want, I don't want to, oh my goodness. I'm like, well, you do know you're not going to pay it off. I mean, I'm not trying to say you're going to die, but I mean, if you buy a house, that's what I told my little 85-year-old, I said, well, don't worry about it. Just get what you want. Baby, you ain't going to pay it off.
Well, good deal. Thank you so much, Carmen, for logging on. We've gone over our time, but I think this was great information.
Thank you so much.
Have not reached out, Carter Realty Group, give us your contact information, and we'll actually put this in the comment section after we get done as well. Give us how can people reach out to you, Carmen?
Okay, so you can call the office at any time. Well, Monday through Friday, 815-582-3953, 815-582-3953. My page is public, so you certainly can inbox me on my personal page. Is Carmen Bruden-Carter. You always can go to our business page, Carter Realty Group, which is on Facebook, or you can go to our website, carterrealtygroup.com. You can meet all of our agents there as well. So they're there as well. As always somebody there to help you. We do serve Will, Kendall, DuPage, and Cook counties.
Good deal. So if you're watching, if you didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing, go back, look at the live again. And again, I can vouch for Carter Realty Group. Like I said earlier, I've been privileged to work with them over 7 times doing real estate.
Thank you so much.
And listen, y'all, we want to make sure that our folks in our community get the best service. So many times, especially with African-American owned businesses, people think that, the quality is less because we know, folks, Carter Realty Group is second to none, and the attention that they give, the excellence that they operate in, there's no shade against any other one. I would not ever go with another real estate agent as long as Carter Realty Group is in the city of Joliet. So Carmen, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much for logging on and watching with us. I hope that this has been helpful for each of you. We'll be doing some more things on health and wellness before the end of the week. And we'll be doing some online workout classes, a couple other things we'll be doing. So stay tuned as we attempt to give you holistic ministry to make sure that you're well in this season, both mind, body, and soul. All right. Thank y'all so much for logging on. We'll see you next week. Peace. Bless you.
Bye.